Look, I have had the injury report on my mind all week because 4 of our biggest Saints stars in Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Talise Fuaga, and Justin Reed all missed practice on Wednesday. Seeing that many starters sidelined at once is a gut punch, especially with the Buccaneers looming on the horizon. There are 2 things we need to break down here, which are the severity of these specific injuries and what this lineup uncertainty means for our playoff push. The more these details emerge, the harder it is to ignore the reality behind the scenes. Hit that like button, subscribe, and drop your name and city in the comments below. Then let's get into it. The New Orleans Saints hit the practice field this Wednesday with a worrying development as 4 vital starters missed the session entirely. Alvin Kamara, Talise Fuaga, Chris Olave, and Justin Reed were all absent from practice, leaving our team shorthanded during a critical week. Kamara has long been the heart of our offense, a versatile weapon who has defined our ground game for years, while Olave remains our most dynamic threat at wide receiver. Seeing these veterans sidelined alongside key pieces like Fuaga and Reed is a situation that naturally unsettles the fan base, especially given our upcoming showdown with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Think about it this way. These 4 men are the backbone of our roster, and their collective health is the difference between a winning performance and a difficult Sunday afternoon. The latest injury report reveals a combination of ailments, with Fuaga dealing with an ankle issue, Kamara battling knee and ankle concerns, Olave nursing a back injury, and Reed working through a knee problem. While Kellen Moore noted that Reed's knee is not an issue requiring a trip to injured reserve, and clarified that Fuaga is dealing with a different ankle than his previous one, the uncertainty is palpable. We remember how Fuaga and Olave managed to recover just in time for the Miami Dolphins game last week, but relying on that kind of quick turnaround is far from an ideal strategy for a squad fighting for position. It leaves us wondering whether these veterans are truly on the mend, or if we are simply delaying an inevitable roster shuffle that could jeopardize our playoff aspirations. If these leaders cannot suit up against Tampa Bay, how exactly will the coaching staff adjust our offensive schemes to compensate for such a massive loss of production and leadership on the field? The most surprising development regarding these injuries is that Talise Fuaga is dealing with a brand new ankle issue rather than a re-aggravation of his previous ailment. While it is certainly concerning to see 4 critical starters miss practice, the coaching staff appears to be taking a calculated long-term approach to manage the physical toll of a grueling NFL season. We know from earlier this year that Fuaga and Chris Olave both managed to bounce back from the injury report to suit up against the Miami Dolphins, which provides a glimmer of hope that this could merely be a strategic effort to keep our veterans fresh for the upcoming stretch run. And this is the part that gets me, as it highlights just how delicate the balance is between pushing for a playoff spot and ensuring the health of the roster under Gayle Benson's leadership. Behind closed doors, Kellen Moore and the front office are undoubtedly weighing the immediate necessity of winning the next divisional game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the risks of long-term fatigue. Justin Reed's knee situation serves as a prime example of this tightrope walk. Moore was quick to clarify that it is not an injured reserve situation, which indicates the team expects a relatively quick recovery timeline, despite the current lack of participation. History shows us that these midweek DNP designations are often more about maintenance for seasoned veterans like Alvin Kamara than a sign of a looming long-term absence. As New Orleans Saints fans, we have witnessed these players battle through soreness many times before. And the coaching staff is clearly prioritizing mobility and health maintenance over forcing participation in a Wednesday session. We must remain patient while the medical staff monitors the progress of these 4 leaders throughout the remainder of this high-stakes week. So that is the official injury report. But let us move to the second part of today's update to analyze what this truly means for our team. And the more I look at this, the clearer it becomes that these absences are a significant hurdle for us at a critical juncture of the season. The stakes are incredibly high right now because our momentum depends entirely on the health of our core veterans like Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave. When starters miss Wednesday practice, it disrupts the entire rhythm of the offensive game plan, forcing Kellen Moore to scramble for contingency plans on the fly. This forces us to rely heavily on our depth chart, which inevitably thins out our roster and makes us vulnerable to defensive pressure from opponents. With the Tampa Bay Buccaneers looming on the schedule, we need our best players at full capacity to handle the physical nature of that divisional rivalry. If these stars remain sidelined, our ability to execute complex plays against tough competition drops significantly, potentially impacting our standing in the NFC South race and our overall playoff projections. We are currently navigating a tight window where every single victory is essential to keeping our postseason dreams alive and relevant. Without key contributors, we face the risk of losing ground against a Tampa Bay Buccaneers squad that is always hunting for an edge in the standings. It is a stressful situation for any fan to watch, but we must trust that the medical staff and coaching team will prioritize the long-term recovery of these men while preparing the next group of players to step up and perform when it matters most. We have to hope for positive progress over the next few days to ensure our roster is as close to full strength as possible for the upcoming challenge. The silver lining to this crowded injury report is the opportunity for our younger depth players to step into the spotlight and prove they belong on this roster. When starters like Alvin Kamara, Talles Fuaga, Chris Olave, and Justin Reid sit out, the coaching staff gets a clear look at our reserves under high-stakes conditions against a divisional rival. What makes this even bigger is that a strong performance from these backups could provide us with a crucial schematic advantage during the final stretch of the season. Conversely, the obvious downside is the lack of continuity on the field during such a critical week of preparation for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Without our primary playmakers practicing, the team risks missing that vital rhythm required to execute complex offensive schemes or maintain a cohesive defensive secondary. Media circles are already buzzing with speculation regarding which specific backups might receive the lion's share of reps, with many outlets pointing toward promising talent waiting in the wings to replace Olave or Kamara. Analysts are currently debating whether this is purely a cautious health strategy or a sign of lingering issues that could hamper us late into December. And I will be real with you, I find the level of public concern regarding these four starters slightly overblown. Kellen Moore explicitly confirmed that the Justin Reid situation is not an injury requiring a move to the reserve list. And we saw both Fuaga and Olave successfully overcome similar practice limitations just last week to play meaningful football. While it is never ideal to see our veterans sidelined on a Wednesday, this coaching staff clearly understands the importance of managing physical wear and tear to ensure we are at full strength when the kickoff finally arrives this coming Sunday against Tampa Bay. When we balance the immediate injury updates against our long-term aspirations, it becomes clear that this franchise is currently navigating a pivotal stretch that will define the culture under Kellen Moore. For us as fans, this reality suggests that the coming seasons are about demonstrating resilience while we wait for the core roster to solidify its identity on the field. You should feel a sense of cautious optimism, primarily because our leadership is prioritizing long-term health over short-term desperation, which is a sign of a mature and stable organization that values its players as human beings rather than just assets. Here's the thing nobody wants to say. While managing these absences is difficult, it provides a unique chance for our depth pieces to step into the spotlight and prove they belong in the future plans of this team. We are building toward a championship window, and maintaining the stamina of stalwarts like Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave is essential to that vision. The upcoming test against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is a prime opportunity for us to show that we can compete regardless of who is suited up on game day. If we keep our focus on these strategic goals, the benefits will manifest as we push deep into the schedule. To get a better sense of our collective outlook, do you believe our offense has enough depth to handle a full game without both Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave on the field this Sunday? If you enjoyed the video, do not forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. Who dat? I'll see you in the next one. Your thoughts on this injury crisis are vital to our community, so please drop a comment down below with your bold predictions regarding how the Saints offense might adapt to these massive hurdles.